Thanks very much, Javier, for being with us today and moderate this panel. The floor is yours. Hello, my name is Javier López. I'm professor in the University of Malaga and representing RENIC, the National Network on Cybersecurity Research. I think that we have seen recently, and especially yesterday, in all the talks and panels, we've seen that there's a great opportunity in Spain for us to be able to be technologically independent from a strategic point of view, and also from the point of view of opportunities for businesses. The success of this venture is going to depend on the integration of the different sectors of the cybersecurity area. Cybersecurity sector and also some other sectors that can contribute more on an international level, both European and international level, such as the universities and educational centers in Spain. So in order to do that, to integrate the different actors, the different players of the ecosystem, and in order to analyze how the specific opportunities look like and how these opportunities are opening, we have this panel this morning with a group of experts. To begin with, we have Luis Pérez. He's the CEO of the Technological Center Gradiant. Good morning, Luis. Please take a seat. José Rosell, who is the managing partner of S2 Group. Good morning, José. Albert Estrada, who is CEO of Open Cloud Factory. And the Professor Pino Caballero from the University of La Laguna. Thanks. Let's start with José. I was just talking about the benefits that our technological autonomy can bring to everyone. So I would like to know your opinion on this. Do you think that these benefits are linked to the investment on cybersecurity? Well, I think the subject is very wide, but we have to realize as a country that we are a country of services with intangible assets. And we're very well positioned in the sector of cybersecurity. Spain has invested a lot on tangible assets, but we need to invest on intangible assets as well. We need to invest on technology. So one of the pillars of this development of intangible assets is the investment on R+D+i. I think we have very good resources on the university sector, so we have to make the most of that potential to be able to build up those intangible assets, to become a country able to export technology in a field where we are very well positioned, such as the field of cybersecurity. So in this sense, I think the R+D+i initiative is vital. Thank you. Albert, you manufacture cybersecurity products. How are you positioning yourselves and how do you compete in this context? Yes, we face this challenge from the point of view from specialization. So we look at different verticals and we look at their needs. So we approach the demand to understand and gather all those requirements. We approach knowledge to incorporate capacities, and with all of that, we build our value chain. We always look at the market. We look at what the manufacturers are doing, what services business companies are doing. We look at the trends. We listen to what the analysts are saying, and we also work with prescriptors. And in terms of the vision of the sector, we need to understand what is the purpose as a country to generate this offer, and how can we make it differentiated. So right now we have a box tool that is giving us a lot of options. We have the budget, we have the funds, we have a starting point, which is our ecosystem. We have policies, we have institutions and organizations that support us, and we have a national cybersecurity agency, which is a true roadmap. So what we need now is to have support and to be able to give a national side to our initiatives. And we have to ask for support from the system, and we need to accelerate it because everything is going so fast, and we have to be there. Thank you, Albert. Luis, in this context that José has just described, this business context, what is the perspective from the technological centers which are in the middle from the between the companies and universities? Yes, thanks very much for that question. Yes, yeah, I agree with what has been said. So we need to be very close to the needs of the businesses, but we are also very much in contact with academia. So we are like the bridge between both worlds. So we are not so much into the knowledge generation, but we focus on transforming that knowledge generated in universities into the and make that tangible. So we need to make the technology that we generate. We need to make it absorbable for the companies. So there are several things to consider. One is the access of talent. So we're talking about talent specialized in the generation of new products and working on R+D+ projects. We're talking about very specialized talent, which is very difficult to find. So the technological centers are a source of this talent, which are at the service of companies. And we also transfer those people to the companies by collaborating with R&D projects. So we contribute with technology. The technological centers have to be centers that take the risk, and we need to risk more than the companies, because that is our position in the value chain, to be ahead of what what the companies need. So there are several ways to do this. Cooperating with the companies, of course. Very often with people think that we only collaborate with large companies, and it is true that there are very large projects of cooperation that has a lot of value, but most of the industrial fabric in Spain on the sector of cybersecurity is made up of SMEs and micro businesses, and we also have to respond to the needs of that particular industrial fabric. So we are very much in contact with those companies, and we are very much aware that there are many young companies with bright ideas, focused on their own product, developing their own product, and things that have a feeling already for internationalization. And they need a technological arm that comes from the outside that is able to give them a boost. So we play an important role there. So we help those companies to be part of international projects, because it is very complicated for them to open to close that bridge, and the technological centers are focused on the generation of intangible assets. We need to give visibility to those products and create new companies based on those intangible assets, and this is something that is also very important to note. Thank you. Pino, as members of the academia, we are on the other extreme. What do you think we can do in order to generate talent, able to contribute in R+D+i? Do you think that the university is able to produce what the industrial fabric needs? Well, the short answer is yes, but I can think of many proposals to make. There are many problems in the Spanish university. I know that this is maybe not the right forum, but there is a lot of red tape that we have to deal with. And there's also another suggestion that was mentioned yesterday. So guarantee financing for this project. In this sector, we need stability in the projects that we are working on. We cannot afford to lose talent, and I would like to use this forum to send a message to let everyone know that research is being done everywhere, not only in large cities. So groups receive several projects from many groups, and all around Spain there are groups working on these projects. And there, like also to mention a fourth suggestion: training. Training connected with research and cybersecurity. So we need in order to transfer knowledge, we need both research and financing. So you mentioned earlier about something about the intangible assets, and from the universities and the companies, many intangible assets are created, And we have the feeling that this is not valued enough compared to other productive sectors. So these intangible assets are not valued enough, and so this can be a problem for us. Do you think could be done to improve on this subject for this to be valued? I think this is a handicap for us. Spain is lagging behind other countries on intangible assets, and that is visible. I'm listening to the other panelists, and I think there's a difference between theory and the practice. Theory, we have assimilated it very well, and practice not so much. So there are different speeds. It is very difficult for those who approach the market directly to compete with the speed of the instruments we have. Alberto mentioned the tools we have, but we don't have that many tools. Those who try to invest on this feel very much alone. So we are unable to develop these initiatives at the right speed. So the theory, we know it very well, but the practice, not so much. And we have to do a bit of self-criticism. So even in the connection that we have with universities, there is not the right connection between academia and businesses. And this is a very unforgiving market. Either you are in the market or you are not, and no one is waiting for you. So the speed is a problem for us. It's great to have roads and trains, etc., infrastructure, yes, but in our world, which is a software world, investment on intangibles is not properly valued. So no matter how good your engineers are, and we need to go to the market and sell those products, well, if we are not able to sell that, we are losing. We are at the bottom on investment on intangible assets. So we need to look into that. We need to use the tools in the right way, but at the right speed as well. So the theory, we know it very well, but we have to take a look at the tools we have.
Albert, whether we talk intangible or intangible assets in a company such as yours, what are the challenges in terms of R&D+i within this context that we are describing this morning, and which was already defined by everything we heard yesterday? Yes, absolutely. What we do is we try to integrate everything that we are talking about here today, and for us the keys are basically three: evolving, innovating and cooperating. Evolving, since we are in a sector that's not very mature, there is still a lot to do and to build, both in terms of technology and services and adoption by the companies, organizations and institutions, as I said, for us working in that kind of specialization market by providing value and maximizing the value proposition that's built from the business, from the companies to the business and to the regulatory framework that are applicable. And also with regard to innovation, for us it is key to be close to you, where the knowledge is generated with two clear aims. First, because that knowledge, what it does is it enables us to incorporate new capacities, new skills, to give an answer to the needs, and also to reinforce our own technology through intellectual property and patents. This is really important. And as far as cooperation goes, well, for us it is important to be part of PPPs, which is articulated from INCIBE and similar institutions. We aim to be very active with associations, regional associations, in the Basque country, for instance, with INCIBE Basque, incorporating talent, as has been already mentioned. We are in a market where incorporating new talent is a need. We need to invest in generating knowledge and also that critical mass from within the businesses. And most important for us, since we build technology, we need to be surrounded by technological alliances. We may not have time to develop resources. The time is limited, but that combination of capacities and skills can have great impact. And then there's something else. The demand is requesting from the industry to work in a coordinated fashion. So as added to the challenges as a business, we also have a series of challenges as a country. So we need to give a response to many needs in terms of cybersecurity. We have the National Cybersecurity Strategy. This is a clear roadmap, but as a country, we need to position ourselves and to define how we're going to articulate our transnational relationships that will make it possible for us to use that European technology. And also something which is very important, we are talking about what you are doing at RENIC, but we need to identify who is there within the value chain. We need to communicate to the rest that we are there, that we exist, and then we need to recognize that we have to be highlighted, both in Spain and elsewhere. Thank you, Alberto. I think this is a good description of the challenges from the business point of view. Pino, let me go back to you. From the academics, what are the challenges that we have ahead of us? I always thought that from the university and academic world, in research and development and innovation, there was some kind of a lack of a common path or a common cybersecurity strategy, and at least from RENIC, we are trying to work together. But what are the challenges would you identify for the near future, for the short term and medium term, in terms of research and development and innovation from the university perspective? Well, obviously what you just mentioned is one of the main challenges. I was going to focus rather more on specific issues that I believe need attention. And obviously, going to the furthest point, I was thinking about naming quantic computation and post-quantic cryptography. And I will go a little bit more about the themes. This is an issue for the future, but it requires our attention from now, because this will be necessary at some point. And then other challenges which are nearer somehow are those which are at the calls for tenders this week. I think it was the director of the GSN who referred to artificial intelligence in cybersecurity, the use of data, of massive data, in order to anticipate the threats. And today, currently, we have different issues around IoT intelligence and security in the calls for tender, and cyber resilience for critical infrastructure. This is something I mustn't forget about, because this is something where we are working actually at the moment. And then there is also this 5G security, also mentioned yesterday. And then as far as challenges that we have for a long time, they have been on the table for a long time, are things like paying attention to security from the design stages, and secure software. These are things that, again, have been with us for a long time, and we need to keep working around them because they're still very valid, and they must be combined with other newer issues that have been added and that we are concerned about, of course. Thank you. Let me well, I left you last in this second round of questions because given the challenges we have at the companies, at the universities, I understand that being in that kind of intermediary position that you mentioned before might make it even more difficult to be able to see what these challenges are, since you need to cater for both the companies and the universities, and you might be in a more uncomfortable position, if I may. So what are the challenges that you envisage to be able to deal with both? Well, given that intermediate position, yes, we do know what the challenges are on both sides, and we are concerned about both of them. I quite agree with most of the things that have been already said. I must say that we, Galicians, traditionally have always worked in small groups, and we tend to work on our own and do our own thing. But the moment you leave Galicia, my region, you find out that there are more people doing things, and sometimes rather interesting things. But sometimes we are a little bit isolated, and in that regard it is important, and I think it's almost the most important and immediate thing, is to work towards that cohesion in the ecosystem that we all are part of, and to work with a shared and common roadmap. That doesn't mean that we all need to do the same thing, obviously, but we should have some clear common goals, and every one of us should provide the specialized knowledge where it is most convenient. We should not be all doing the same thing, but we should be specialized and cooperate. So the positioning of the technological center as an intermediary, joining and bridging different worlds, I believe this is where we should try to be an important piece in that puzzle. And obviously the actions from RENIC, from the forum, is important, and they really add and contribute to this. But this is a rather new activity. We started not so long ago, and we need to focus on intangible assets, and we need to start making them producing things for the country, because the second thing I would mention is precisely that. What we do should not stay put away in a drawer. We often do many things from the early stages of technologies around the academic world and around technology. So many things are done, and sometimes they are, well, put away, and they do not actually have the impact on the market and on the actual tissue that they should. So we need to keep working for those two worlds to work more and more together, to be aligned, and to avoid that things are put away. And something that has already been mentioned, the instruments. And I would like to link this to what I said earlier about SMEs. Sometimes we design instruments from the public side, and then they are not accessible for SMEs who might have really good ideas orientated towards the product, to innovative things, but that cannot be completed because there is a series of limitations when it comes to maturing the product or their idea. This is something that happens a lot, and in the attempt of trying not to keep things in drawers, we need to continue to work together with universities and learning centers and research centers. We truly believe and defend the alliance as something that has a high value, because the academics and the actual academic world can add value. We cannot actually request universities to be excellent and create new things, and then after a moment they should be thinking about the market. These are two different worlds and are difficult to combine. Sometimes we are aware that we are asking universities to do virtually everything, and we need to be aware that there are more people than just universities, and some of us are closer to companies, so we can contribute to for that knowledge that's generated at the university to be closer to the companies without the agents having to resort to things that take them away from the comfort zone. I am looking at Pino because, well, we work with the academia and with technological centres. In the couple of minutes that we have left, I would like to ask Pepe and Albert a question. From the academic point of view, in the technological centres, for many years, we have been beaconed to work at the European level through framework research programs in order to strengthen the links and the bonds with research groups from other countries. But now that the objective is to be independent, digital independent in cybersecurity, from the point of view of the companies, do you see that this independence should be achieved as a country or as part of Europe? I don't see a lot of difference, really. Spain is part of Europe. And as such, I think we should combine both things. As a country, we should have a very clear technological positioning, but we are European, and therefore our technology should also be European. And as such, I consider that the range or the scope is a European one. Cooperation never hurts, and just taking it from what Luis just mentioned, it is sad to see things put in drawers, but we have a little problem. We are pragmatic because we need to be. We are forced to be pragmatic. So very often, it's not that we put things in drawers because the industry wants so, but rather we have certain times and rhythms and lead times, and we need to provide our customers what they ask for. And our chain has to be very swift, and we need to be aligned with the needs of society, because it is society that's going to tell you when and how. And I think we need to start analyzing why things do take time, why some of the investment and knowledge, which is paid with the taxpayers' money, and some of these things never see the light. So we need to think about that. And then there is one last thing. As an industry, I feel it is sad to see how many of the startups that are making great efforts to develop their own technology do not always find their own tools, and they have to resort to markets outside of Europe to end up selling their technology elsewhere, when it is us in Europe who have paid for that. So we need to look into this, definitely. Talking about investment and ecosystem, well, I could talk for a long time, but for us who are starting to initiate these relationships with you, we have not finished knowing you and working with you. We will go to Europe once we have done that, but now we are still working in Europe. Well, I hope that this talk about research and development and innovation has been interesting. Thank you very much, and please join me in a round of applause to our panel. Thank you.